Amara wasn't like the other children. While they played games, she wandered the forest edge with her father, who worked as a park ranger. She loved nature deeply, like it was part of her soul. One rainy morning, while her father was out on his routine patrol, he stumbled upon something unusual. A tiny lion cub, no bigger than a house cat, shivering near a fallen tree. Its mother was nowhere in sight. The tracks nearby told a grim story. A poacher had passed through the area the night before. The cub had been left behind, defenseless and alone. When Amara's father brought the cub home wrapped in a damp cloth, her eyes lit up. "Can we help him?" she asked, kneeling beside the small, trembling creature. Her father hesitated. "Only until he gets strong. Then he must go back to the wild where he belongs." But what started as a few days turned into weeks. The cub, whom Amara named Zuri, meaning beautiful in Swahili, quickly grew under her care. She fed him with bottles, played with him in the garden, and even talked to him as if he were a person. Zuri would curl up beside her at night, his little body rising and falling with soft purrs that comforted her in the dark. They became inseparable. As Zuri grew, so did their bond. He followed Amara everywhere, his large paws thudding behind her as she ran through the tall grass. They would play hide and seek, splash near the watering hole, and rest under the big baobab tree when the sun got too hot. The village knew about their unusual friendship, and though some were afraid, most were simply amazed. But deep down, Amara's father knew this could not last forever. Lions were wild animals. As gentle as Zuri was now, instincts could change everything. One evening, he sat down with Amara under the stars. "He's getting too big," he said softly. "Soon he won't know his own strength. He needs to return to the wild, to be with his own kind." Tears filled Amara's eyes. "But he's my best friend." "I know," her father whispered. "But sometimes, love means letting go." The goodbye was the hardest day of her life. Zuri was taken to a protected wildlife sanctuary deep in the reserve, where experts would help him learn how to live in the wild. Amara stood at the gate as the truck drove away, Zuri's golden eyes staring back at her through the bars. She waved until she couldn't see him anymore. Life moved on. Amara grew older, but she never forgot Zuri. Every time she walked near the reserve, she would wonder if he was out there somewhere, still remembering her. Years passed. Amara was now 20. She had followed in her father's footsteps, becoming a wildlife photographer and working closely with conservation teams. Her name had started appearing in articles and magazines. She used her camera not just to capture animals, but to tell their stories. And deep inside, she hoped that one day one of those stories would lead her back to Zuri. One day, a call came in from the reserve headquarters. A group of wild lions had moved dangerously close to a nearby village. Rangers needed to identify them to decide if they should be relocated deeper into the park. Amara volunteered immediately. As the team set up near the edge of the trees, the sun began to set. The shadows grew long and golden. Then from behind a rocky ridge came movement. A lion stepped out, majestic and massive, his mane thick and golden, his eyes deep and fierce. And right behind him came 2 lionesses and 3 cubs. The team raised their binoculars, speaking in hushed tones, but Amara stood frozen. Her heart pounded. There was something in the way that lion moved, something familiar. Her hands trembled as she lifted her camera and zoomed in on his face, his scar above the left eye, the shape of his nose, the slight tilt of his head. It couldn't be. "Zuri?" she whispered. Suddenly the lion's head turned. He stared directly at her. The air went still. The team around her fell silent. The lion began walking forward, slow, steady steps. The lionesses held back, unsure. "Everyone, stay calm," one ranger warned. "Back up slowly." But Amara didn't move. Her breath caught in her throat as Zuri came closer, now just a few feet from the barrier rope. His muscles were tense, his eyes locked on hers. "Is he going to charge?" Someone whispered in panic. The tension in the air was unbearable. The team reached for their tranquilizer rifles. And then, Zuri let out a low sound, almost like a growl, but softer, deeper. Amara slowly stepped forward, her hand trembling. "It's okay," she said softly. "It's me. It's Amara." Lion's ears twitched, and in a moment that made everyone freeze, Zuri lowered his massive head and gently rubbed it against the rope between them. No one moved. Even the birds had gone silent. Amara's eyes filled with tears. "You remember me." But just as the moment grew tender, a sudden loud bang echoed through the trees. A poacher's warning shot, meant to scare off lions near a different village. Zuri's body jolted. He turned instantly, roaring loud and fierce. The other lions sprang up, ready to defend. Panic broke loose. Rangers shouted, people ran, and the tranquilizer rifles were raised. "Protect her!" someone screamed. Zuri turned back to Amara, confused, his body torn between fight and memory. "Don't shoot," she cried, throwing her arms wide in front of him. "He's not attacking." But chaos was building, and danger was just beginning to close in. Zuri's roar echoed like thunder through the trees, vibrating in everyone's chest. The ranger squad stood frozen, their fingers tightening on their tranquilizer triggers. The lionesses behind him crouched low, ready to defend their leader. The cubs, frightened by the gunshot, hid behind rocks. But Amara didn't flinch. She stood between Zuri and the rifles, her arms spread, her eyes locked with his. "Zuri, please. It's okay. No one's going to hurt you." The lion growled, low and deep, confused by the noise, the chaos, the sudden fear around him. His ears twitched, scanning for danger. A second roar from deeper in the forest made the lionesses back up. Something or someone was nearby. Maybe more lions, maybe poachers. "We have to get out of here," a ranger yelled. "This is turning into a hot zone." "No," Amara shouted. "If you shoot him, he won't understand. He'll think, I brought you to hurt him." A ranger whispered into his radio, calling for a rescue vehicle, but the situation was crumbling fast. The lions were anxious. Zuri's body was tense, his instincts ready to protect his pride. But his eyes kept coming back to Amara. And in those eyes, somewhere behind the wildness, was something soft, something human, something that remembered. Amara dropped to her knees. Her voice broke. "Zuri, do you remember how I used to sing to you?" The lion paused. His breathing slowed. His muscles eased slightly. She began humming. A simple tune, the one she had always sung to him as a cub when he couldn't sleep. The one they used to sit under the baobab tree and listen to together. And unbelievably, Zuri's head lowered. His eyes blinked slowly. The growl in his chest faded into silence. For a moment, it felt like time had stopped. The rangers stood still. No one fired. The forest around them waited. Amara reached out slowly. Zuri stepped forward, closing the space between them, until his forehead gently pressed against hers. A massive beast, and now soft as a whisper. Her tears fell onto his fur. She whispered, "I missed you so much." But their moment was cut short by the sound of a second gunshot, this time much closer. Not a warning. A real shot. Someone had entered the perimeter. "Poachers," a ranger shouted. "They're in the western grove." The lionesses growled sharply. Zuri's head shot up. In an instant, he turned and roared again, louder this time. A call, a threat, a warning. "Get to the vehicle now." The lead ranger shouted. The team started moving, but Amara hesitated. "I'm not leaving him." One of the rangers grabbed her arm. "He'll be okay. You're not safe here." Another shot rang out, this time striking a tree nearby. Bark exploded. Everyone ducked. Zuri leapt between Amara and the sound, his massive body shielding her. "Go!" she shouted. "He's trying to protect me." With no choice, they pulled her away. Zuri roared at the trees again before bounding into the brush with his pride behind him, disappearing into the shadows. The next few hours were chaos. Back at the camp, helicopters circled the area. Rangers searched the grove, eventually chasing off the poachers before anyone was hurt. No lions were found. The pride had vanished deeper into the protected zone. Amara sat alone on the front steps of the ranger post, wrapped in a blanket, still in shock. Her hands trembled. Her face was wet, but she wasn't afraid. Not of Zuri, not of the lions. She was afraid she'd never see him again. One of the senior rangers came and sat beside her. "You were brave out there," he said quietly. "I wasn't brave," she whispered. "I was just trying to protect someone I loved." He looked at her for a long moment. "I've worked with lions for 20 years. I've never seen one act like that. He didn't just remember you, he trusted you. That's rare." Amara nodded, biting her lip. "I want to make sure he's safe. I want to help him stay free." The ranger smiled. "Then we'll track him, quietly, from a distance. Make sure he's not near danger. But we won't tag him or cage him. He's earned his place in the wild." The next few weeks were filled with long days of searching. Amara helped set up motion cameras and followed paw prints with the team. She scanned every ridge and tree line, hoping for a glimpse. At night, she'd listen to the distant roars, wondering if one of them was his. One evening, just as the sun was dipping low, painting the sky orange and pink, a call came in over the radio. "Camera 3, movement detected near the baobab tree." Amara's heart skipped. Their tree. She ran. By the time she reached the ridge overlooking the tree, the sun was barely holding onto the horizon, and there, sitting in the golden grass, was Zuri. He was alone, calm, watching the sunset. Amara didn't move. She just stood there, tears rolling down her cheeks. Zuri turned his head. Their eyes met again. He stood, and then slowly, he walked to her. No roaring, no growling, just quiet steps. When he reached her, he sat beside her like he had all those years ago. She didn't reach out. She didn't speak. She just sat beside him, both of them looking out at the horizon. After a long silence, she whispered, "You found your place, Zuri, just like we hoped." The wind moved gently through the grass. A flock of birds flew overhead. Zuri stood up again, nudged her gently with his head, then turned and walked back toward the trees. He paused once, looking back. Amara smiled. "Go," she said softly. "Go be who you were meant to be." And then, like a ghost in the grass, he vanished. That night, Amara sat with her father by the fire. "You know," he said, poking the flames, "when you were little, I used to worry that you were too soft-hearted for this world." She smiled. "And now?" He chuckled. "Now I think the world could use more hearts like yours." Amara continued to work as a wildlife storyteller, her photos of lions going viral all over the world. People were drawn to the image of a woman sitting beside a lion at sunset. She never shared his name, never told anyone what he meant to her, because some stories don't need to be told loudly. Some stories live in the quiet space between memory and miracle, and if you ever visit the reserve at sunset, near the tall baobab tree, you might hear a soft hum in the wind, and maybe, just maybe, a lion's gentle roar in reply. Thank you for staying with us till the end. If this story moved your heart even a little, please give it a like, share it with someone who loves animals, and don't forget to subscribe for more stories just like this. Until next time, stay kind and always listen to the wild.